Hey everyone, Dunkirk here, and welcome back to another video. And in today's video, it is the end of 2017. Sadly, it has come to this. But what I would like to go over is that it's a phenomenal year. It's been a really good year. I'm having another vlog that's coming out a few minutes after this. But before I do get to that, I want to show you guys my top 10 movies of 2017. It's been a really good year. It's been a phenomenal year for me. I'm going to go into detail in the other video about 2017, but this year has been the comic book year for me, and probably, I think, for a lot of nerds and a lot of geeks that love comic books or love comic book movies, TV shows. And I would do a TV show thing, but a lot of things have been going on, and I've been really watching a lot of TV, except for Rick and Morty, Adventure Time, and, you know, the old school Teen Titans, not the garbage that Teen Titans go, and Rick and Morty, of course. But I wanted to do my top 10 movies, and I want to know what your top 10 are. I also have I have 3 honorable mentions, and I'm going to give out all the 10 movies that I really liked this year. I'm going to tell you why, and I'm going to give you my final rating of the year for them. So without further ado, let's get right into them. And we kick off things at number 10, Kong, Skull Island. Now, many people were, like, really hyped to see another movie in the Godzilla type monster movie universe, besides the failure of the Mummy movie that just came out this year in that monster universe. But this is the giant monster movies with the Killer Moth, the Hydra, the Kraken, Kong, and Godzilla, all of them into one big universe. Now, a lot of people did not like this movie. Me personally, when I first watched this movie, I did not like this. I'm gonna admit, I fell asleep watching this movie, and I went to sleep right after the big spider scene, and then I woke up, and it was the scene where they were in the skull graveyard, and I don't know, I don't know if I was tired. I'm not saying the movie was boring and I just fell asleep. No, I was just tired that night, and I wasn't just focused. But I went and watched it, and I liked half of it, but where the story went off at first, I did not. So then my cousin Robert was asking about it, and I gave him my opinion. I said, it's a good movie. It's a good monster movie. And he was like, well, I'm going to go see it. Do you want to go see it with me? And I was like, you know what? I fell asleep again. Let me go see that again. I sat down and watched it with them, and I almost had the same reaction as the first one. And as soon as they got onto the island, I was like, yes, I was super hyped. Now, the things I will say before and after I watched it again twice, I really liked the cast. The cast was amazing. Number 2, the color. As I got the poster for the film, like the outline of Kong's body, the moonlight, the sun and the mountains and the water and everything, it looked so beautiful. And one of my favorite scenes from that movie is the helicopter scene when you first see Kong over the sunset in the distance, and you're just hearing the music, all the things getting thrown, the trees, the helicopters that crashing. You hear the fire crackle and everything. It's so beautiful. I had a really big love for all the colors in the film. Now, I will say some of the things I did not like. Samuel L. Jackson's character, he was supposed to be like a psychopathic villain. Not psychopathic like the Joker or Carnage from the comics, but like a person that loved being in war. And he loved war so much that he didn't want to leave it. But I really did not like his motivation, and that him wanting to kill Kong over and over again just because his men died, but that wasn't why. But I really liked the cast. The music was okay. It wasn't that great, but I really liked it. I loved the set pieces, and I loved the final battle between the skull crawlers and Kong. I love Tom Hiddleston in this, and I can't remember her name, but she's playing Captain Marvel in Marvel right now, but she did a great job. The cast was great, though. I loved it. Phenomenal. And I'm going to give this movie an 8 out of 10. That was my final rating for this film, so 8 out of 10 for Kong Skull Island. I am going to admit this. Me and my parents were going to go watch this together, but we got kind of caught up in what we were doing in life. They got caught up in work. I got caught up in school, so we never got to see it. So we finally got to see it last week, and I'm going to say this. The critics, some people liked it, some people didn't. Rotten Tomatoes this year has been for me, because I don't really care about Rotten Tomatoes at all, but what they say about a movie, and what I hate so much about what Rotten Tomatoes is doing now, people are going to go look at reviews before they go see the movie, and they're going to hear something, like millions of people heard that Justice League was horrible, and I'm going to get to Justice League later, but don't listen to reviews. If you want to go see a movie and you look at a review before you go see the movie, don't do that. If you're one of those people that does do it, I'm fine with it. I'm cool. I'm just saying, if you really are looking forward to a movie that you really do want to see, and you look at the reviews first and it says the movie's bad, you should go see it. Now, some reviews that I have on this list, they've got a good Rotten Tomato, which means they're fresh. So, with that being said, Kingsman: The Golden Circle, it had a phenomenal cast. And I'm really good because it didn't have that much action as the first one, but it had a lot of good scenes. The cast was great. The weapons and the gadgets they had in this movie were insane. The twist at the end came out of nowhere. Well, yeah, it didn't really come out of nowhere. Julianne Moore was fine. She was fine looking, and she was crazy. That hamburger scene, I'm not even going to talk about that. That was crazy. I love how they did it, and the Kingsmen were dying over the place. The missile scene, that was crazy. I really like the final battle scene with Eggsy and I can't remember his name. The dude with the eye patch. But him and Eggsy going at it and killing people was good. The music was great at the very end. It did a really good job what a sequel should do, but it didn't really stand out besides the first one. The first one, to me, was really insane and something I never seen before. It was like James Bond on steroids. This one was like James Bond on rock and roll. So, Kingsman: The Golden Circle, I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10 again. It's a really good movie. You should go see it. It has a great cast and some great music. Go check it out. At number 7, Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. Now, I did some trailer reactions to this, but they never got uploaded because YouTube was breaking at me at the time, and I was going back and forth with my school and me getting my new job, so I never got to upload it. And the same thing happened with the Tomb Raider trailer, so I'm sorry that did not go up. But when I heard that they were making the Jumanji sequel, or like a reboot, they're calling it a sequel, and I looked it up, and it's actually confirmed this is a sequel to the old one with Robin Williams, God rest his soul. They said this was the second one, and I was like, before they said it was the second, I was like, Jumanji does not need a reboot. It's really good, and Hollywood is going down with movie ideas. But the cast was, when I heard the cast, Dwayne Johnson, Jack Black, Kevin Hart, and Karen Gillan, I was like, okay, I haven't seen Jack Black in a movie in a long time, so let's go. And then you got Kevin Hart and Dwayne Johnson. They've done movies before. I know this is going to be good. I saw the trailer and I was like, okay, it looks good. It looks promising. I can deal with it. You going inside of the game instead of the game coming out in the real world. Now, I went and saw this last week during Christmas break. And I'm going to say this. The movie was really good. The music was okay. The drums that you heard, great. And what I liked about this movie, I like where you do a teen movie and they go through the struggles, but what was weird for me, and what this happens all the time, when you see a character get turned into something else, let's take an example for the movie Shrek 2. When Shrek turns back into, when he turns himself into a human to make Fiona fall in love with him some more, when you see Shrek being a human for this life, you stick to that person. So when I saw these kids turn into these characters in the video game, I got stuck with them, and then when they went back, I was like, oh, okay, but I liked it. The young cast that played as the kids, they were good. I wish they had a little bit more screen time before they went into the game, but the cast was amazing. The comedy was hilarious, and I love they paid an homage to Robin Williams' character, Alan Parrish. Because I was going through Easter egg hunting throughout the movie, and I found a good lot of Easter eggs, and it was good. I related to the characters a lot. And I will say this, Kevin Hart's character, the female chick, Bethany, when I saw her taking her picture in the trailer, I was like, oh my gosh, she's going to be the chick that's going to end up with the nerd, or she's going to end up with the kid that does football, or however. Jack Black, who played Bethany, the chick, her character was different than I expected. She went in, and when they needed to look at the map, she didn't freak out and was like, I don't want to look at this map. And then when Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart were fighting, she was like, come on, guys, pull yourself together. Let's get out of this game. Kevin Hart was hilarious. Karen Gillan, she was fine. She was good. The action was insane. I wish the villain was a little bit better like the first Jumanji villain. And then Nick Jonas was in it, and he was good. He was a good actor to play in it. So, Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. And what I'm annoyed about this. before I went see the movie, I looked at the reviews on Rotten Tomato. This one and the old one. The old Jumanji has a 50 or 59 rotten on Rotten Tomatoes. And I'm mad. I'm super mad. And then I looked at this, and I was like, if this movie is fresh, then I'm going to really have to see this movie. Because I was planning on seeing this movie anyway. But I was like, if this movie is going to be fresh, then the old one, I'm going to have to see it for myself just to give me the rating. And when I saw the rating, it was 80. So, obviously, it was fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. And I'm going to say this. I'm in between this one and the first one. I love Robin Williams, and I love the scenes in the old one. And I like this one a little bit more, but I'm still like this and that with the first and second one. So, Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle, it did a good thing that a sequel can do, and I really like the dialogue that these characters have, so I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10. At number 7 is Get Out. Now, I told my parents I would... Now, Noah and me, when we saw the trailer, we were super hyped to see a movie, and of course I had Jordan Peele that was directing it, and I love his comedy that he has with Keegan-Michael Key on Key and Peele. So when I heard that he was making this movie, I was like, yeah, okay, this is going to be a funny horror movie. And I saw the trailer, I was like, this is a bizarre thing. And one of the scenes I was really looking forward to seeing was not in the film, and I still haven't seen it yet. But it was the scene with the deer in the void, but I haven't seen it yet, so I'm really disappointed in not making the final cut. But the cast was good. The music was wild. There were no jump scares, which I'm happy there wasn't any, because I'm getting at the point where I hate jump scares now, because they're too cliche now for video games and movies. So I'm glad there wasn't that much. The twist was insane, with his girl being a part of the family. I kind of knew how the movie was gonna end, and then how they turned the black people into white people. That was crazy. That was insane. How I thought the psychiatrist chick, her doing hypnotism, that was insane. That was something I never even seen in a movie like this. And a lot of people say it's not a horror. I mean, people are saying it says it's a horror movie. It's not really. It's more of a thriller mystery. So, and it did leave me with some scares. My dad and me were both freaking out. My mom was just laughing hysterically. The main dude, his best friend, was my favorite character of the movie, and with it living up to my hype, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. No, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. A 9 out of 10 for the music, the twists, and the turns, and the characters, and for a horror movie not to be so much packed with characters that you really don't care about. So, I'm really glad that this movie stands out, and I think it will win a lot of Oscars for it. At number 6, Thor Ragnarok. Okay, this is another film that I was waiting to see, and a lot of movies I've seen this year, I went to the theater the day it came out, but sadly, I did not get to see Thor Ragnarok in theaters when it first came out. I had to wait about a month. I actually saw it at the last week of November, and that was really sad for me. But me, my dad, my brother, and my cousin, Robert, we all went to see this movie, and we had a heck of a good laugh at watching this. It was Taika Waititi. He did a good job directing this movie. Now, the reason I put this at number 6, and a lot of people are going to hate me for it, because people are saying this is the best Marvel film, this is the best MCU movie they've ever made. I'm going to say this. This is not the best MCU movie that they've ever made. It's definitely at the top 5, but it's not the best. The villain, Hela, was amazing. I'm glad that they... If Surtur really did kill Hela at the end of that movie, then they wasted a perfectly cast for her, but I'm pretty sure that Hela will return, and maybe in Infinity War, and maybe some future installments of Thor Ragnarok, Thor movies, or Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Heimdall was insane. Loki was phenomenal. I love Loki. Hulk was great. He was the comic book relief out of this. Thor's no look, his powers were insane. And the one thing I loved so much about this movie was the color. The color on Sakaar. The colors in Asgard. The music. The music made me feel like I was watching an 80s film, and it was. The movie looked like an 80s film. All the characters acted like 80s. The color, the costumes, everything looked like it was an 80s film, and I freaking loved it, because I love 80s films, if you know me by now. And the action was insane. That Hulk, the arena scene is one of my favorite scenes I've ever seen in a Marvel film. Thor's new power. Now, the one thing I did not like about this movie is that there was a couple of scenes that I did not like. one, I wish Hela had a few more scenes, and two, I did not like that Thor lost his eye. I was okay with every time. I've seen the movie around maybe 5 times now. I've gotten used to it, but I'm not a big fan of it. Hopefully they can get that fixed in Infinity War. If not, I'll be fine with it. It's just an eye, but I liked him with both his eyes, but it was insane. Odin's twists and turns, that was crazy, so... And I gave this movie a 9 out of 10 for the music and the colors and the visual arts. And if it doesn't win any Oscars, they don't know. But this movie was really good. And people are saying this is the best Thor movie. I will agree. This is probably the best Thor movie they've ever made. And I honestly like the first 2 films. The second one has been my favorite in the trilogy, but now it's the third one. And it goes from third to first. So I like this one and Thor 2 and then Thor 1 last. But this one is really good, and I cannot wait to see future installments of this. At number 5 is Wonder Woman. Okay, so we are getting to the top 5 movies of 2017. Wonder Woman. I saw the trailers for this movie, and I was hyped. I was hyped. DC was failing at the time, and people were saying either woman's is gonna save DC, or it's gonna fail it. And my God, every time I watch this movie, it freaking saves the DC. Gal Gadot played one heck of a Wonder Woman. She looks like Wonder Woman with and without the costume. She acts like Wonder Woman with or without the costume. She sounds like Wonder Woman with or without the Wonder Woman title. The colors, like this poster, the color is amazing. Chris Pine played a really good sidekick to Wonder Woman, and I'm glad that she was not the whole damsel in distress thing, not only because she was the lead character in a female superhero movie, but people were debating that if Wonder Woman was not going to be a good female superhero movie, then they shouldn't make any. And Marvel, take some notes from this, because your Captain Marvel movie is coming out next year. So, take some notes, and hopefully that movie will be good as this one. Now, my favorite scene is the No Man's Land scene. And that scene was insane. The music, the action was crazy. The cast was insane. The one thing I did not like is, and everyone doesn't like this, was the third act. The third act went kind of down. I did not like Chris Pine's sacrifice. I mean, he could have jumped out of the plane and then shot it, but it's fine. He's probably going to come back anyway. The mascara was crazy. Their training was insane. And Ares, I wish he was in the movie a little bit more. But that twist at the end, because the whole time you're watching this, you're thinking it's the General Soldier, but it's not. And Diana and me had the same theory, but it actually was the one dude. And that twist with Ares was crazy. I loved his outfit, and they were testing his CG because of what they did with Man of Steel, Batman, Superman, and Suicide Squad. And they were debating how the CG was going to work in Justice League. And I liked his costume, and I love his outfit. But I wish he was in it a little bit more than he was in the final cut. But yeah, Wonder Woman is a 9 out of 10 from me. I love Gal Gadot. She did a fine, good job. And I can't wait to see her in future installment. And her movie comes out next year alongside of Spider-Man 2. So, I see you next year. At number 4 is Justice League. Now, many people are going to be like, Isaac, Bilbo, what the have you been smoking? Why would you put Justice League at number 4 in front of Wonder Woman? Now, both trailers came out roughly around the same time, and I was hyped for both movies. And at the time, I was hyped for more Wonder Woman than I was Justice League. And then the second and third trailer came out, and I was hyped for more Justice League than I was Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman delivered a really good movie, but I like Justice League a little bit more, just a tad bit, just a icing on top of the cake. The cast for this movie was insane. I wish that Commissioner Gordon was in it a little bit more, but J.K. Simmons played a good job as Commissioner Gordon. I still like the one from the Christopher Nolan series, but he did a really good job for the little role that he was in, and I can't wait to see him in the Batman solo film that comes out, I think, in 2020 or 2019, so hope so. Now, the two characters I really, really liked in this movie were Flash and Cyborg. I've been a big Teen Titans fan all my life, and to see Cyborg in this movie. People complain about his CGI outfit. I loved it. He did a really good job. The CGI was not terrible as people say it is. I love Ray Fisher, and I love, what's his name? Ezra Miller's Flash. Look, people are saying things about the CW Flash. I like this Flash a little bit more. For the time he was on there, I liked it. Gal Gadot still played a fine, good Wonder Woman. Ben Affleck always is my favorite Batman. Nobody's going to replace that. He did a really good job. Jason Momoa, his Aquaman was hilarious, and he was, I think, one of the best characters they've ever put in a DC film. For the time he set, now, a few things I did not like about this, about Justice League. One, they kept going back to the family in Russia, but I thought the chick, because it kept going back and forth, I saw the little girl, I thought it was Supergirl. I thought it was her, but she speaks Russian, so I was like, okay, maybe she's not. And I thought she was going to actually display some powers, but she didn't. But that little girl played a good role. I did not like that. I hate people complain about Steppenwolf a lot. I like Steppenwolf. For the time he was on this movie, now, I wish he got a little bit more screen time, and you could understand his backstory a little bit more, but I loved him for the time he was being on. He was intimidating, he was scary, he was fierce, he was strong, and he was ruthless as heck. My favorite scene from the film was in the tunnel, and seeing all the characters go back and forth. Flash wasn't really a fighter, and Batman gave him the job to go rescue people, and he did a really good job at it. I love Batman, all his new gadgets and stuff, all his toys. He was good. You heard the old Batman theme from like Michael Keaton. It was good. They actually brought that music artist, the music director from the Tim Burton Batman films to this, and he scored one heck of a good movie. Now, the movie was supposed to be, I think, around 2 or 3 hours long, but it got cut because of Joss Whedon, because Zack Snyder was directing this film, and he had to leave because of family tragedy. I'm sorry about that, Zack Snyder. I hope you get through it, and you come back in DC, but if not, you still did good. Now, I do not like that Joss Whedon had to do all those reshoots, because actually a couple of scenes that I saw where I really was looking forward to, but he cut them, so, and people are asking for a Zack Snyder cut. I really do want to see it. Oh, yeah, okay, hang on. I will say about this. I just said that I did not care about the CGI that much. There is one thing that I really did not like about the CGI. And a second thing, and it has to do with Superman. One, Superman's face. But that was all because of Mission Impossible, so I can get past that. And the opening scene where kids were recording Superman coming and talking, giving Q&As, I like the idea, but I felt like Joss Whedon watched SpiderMan Homecoming and was like, now wait a minute. What if you see that in a DC movie? I did not like that. But I liked how it cut to Batman, and seeing Gotham, it was like an actual Gotham, like it looked criminal and like dark and sinister. The settings they were going to, the comedy was good. It wasn't that cheesy comedy, and people are gonna hate me for what I say this, but I'm gonna give this movie a 9 out of 10. It's a 9 out of 10 for me, because I love the cast. I love the little stories you got to see for Cyborg, Flash, and Aquaman. I can't wait for his movie to come out this year, 2018. And they were gonna show Darkseid, but they did not want to copy Avengers, so I'm mad about that. But it's okay. But I'm gonna give this movie a 9 out of 10 for Justice. Number 3, It. You'll float too. This movie is probably my favorite horror movie I've ever seen in a long, long time. The cast for this film was crazy. The kids, the adults, and Bill Skarsgård's Pennywise. Now, I've said this in my spoiler review, and I did not think they were going to use Georgie a lot in this movie, but they used a crap load of him in it, and I loved him. I hope he comes back for the sequel, and like maybe an adult version of Georgie that could have been alive, but sadly isn't. The cast, though, the kids, what they were going through with this movie, you could relate to some of the things. I felt bad for the kid with the medication. I felt bad for the Jewish kid. I felt bad for Beverly. I felt bad for Ben. And I felt bad for Billy that he had to constantly go over the death of Georgie. Bill Skarsgård played one heck of a clown, and he scared the living crap out of me. I'm not afraid of clowns, but he made me terrified of him for a little while, and he was insane. The music was all over the place, and that was crazy. But like the violence, the gore, the horror elements were insane. And I can't remember the actor's name, but the dude that played as the bully, the main dude, Henry Bowers. I hated his character. The actor that played as him, he made me hate him for what he was doing to the Losers Club. But I love what he did in the film, and I just watched the deleted scenes in the film, and that was insane what he did with his friends. Because I was thinking about the movie when it was coming up to the finale. I was thinking, what did his friends do? Like, did they leave him? That deleted scene, he killed his friends in the car because he was in there talking to him. He's like, I'm gonna go kill the Losers Club. He just turns and looks at you at the camera, and he's just laughing like, oh, crazy. And this movie, for me, is a 10 out of 10. It's a 10 out of 10 for its music, the horror elements, the character, the cast, everything. It did a really good job, and I did not think that this... No, actually, when I saw the trailer for this, I was like, this is going to be more crazy and sinister than it was from the old one. And I love the old one, I like the old one, but I love this one more, because it felt like it was paying a little bit more to the book, and I cannot wait for the sequel. And you related to more of these kids than what you did to the old one. So, I'm really good, and the story was phenomenal. And I cannot wait to see more of this in the future. But yeah, this is a 10 out of 10 for it. Oh, at number 2, SpiderMan Homecoming. Now, a lot of people that know I'm a big Spider-Man fan, it's going to be like, Isaac, why did you put Spider-Man Homecoming at number 2? What could top Spider-Man Homecoming? I've been waiting to see a Spider-Man in the MCU for all my life. I love the Tobey Maguire series. I love the Andrew Garfield series. But I love Tom Holland. He was good. He played a heck of a Peter Parker. He played a heck of a Spider-Man. He looked like Spider-Man. He sounded like Spider-Man with or without the costume. The cast was crazy. The music was, it could have been a little bit better, but you heard that 1960s Spider-Man theme from the old cartoon. And it was phenomenal. Michael Keaton played the best villain in the MCU movie than I've ever seen besides Loki and Hela. I related to all the characters, especially Michael Keaton and Spider-Man. I related to both of them. The suits were crazy. I love Vulture's suit. I love the homemade Spider-Man suit more than I liked his Homecoming suit that Tony Stark made for him. I love all the gadgets can do. Now, I will say this. I didn't really have much problems except for like him jumping over the fence and nobody seeing him because of the windows, but I can get past all that. Him running through the hallway and picking up and going through with his costume. No cameras or anything can record you, but it's okay. They set up a lot of villains in this movie that people were saying, oh, you put too many Spider-Man villains in one movie, it's gonna, like, cause dramatic. But they fit in a ton of villains, and I cannot wait to see them in future Spider-Man films. It felt like an MCU film, and it felt like a Spider-Man film, because they got a young actor to play a young character, and it made you feel like you were in Spider-Man's shoes and Peter Parker's shoes, and you got to see the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe right before your eyes. And that was good. And that's what Spider-Man is. You feel like you are Spider-Man because you've been in his shoes more than you have than other Marvel characters. And, of course, I put this at 10 out of 10 because it made me love Spider-Man even more. It made me fall in love with Tom Holland. It made me fall in love more with Michael Keaton. It made me fall in love with Vulture. The cast was insane. The music it could have been a little bit better, but it was okay. The set pieces were good. My favorite scene was the ferry. The ending. My God, the twist that Michael Keaton was Liz Allen's father. I had not seen that coming. The ending was perfect. They did not kill off a perfect super villain that we had never seen before. And I cannot wait to see Michael Keaton in future Spider-Man films, if necessary. But yeah, I put Spider-Man Homecoming at number 10 for me. So, go check it out. And I love this movie over and over again. Now, before I get to my number 1 pick of the 2017 movie, I would love to give you guys my honorable mentions for this year. I picked Blade Runner for 2049. It was a good sequel. It did what a sequel should do. Had a good cast. I'm glad Harrison Ford came back to do it. Ryan Gosling played a really good hero in this film, and Jared Leto was a sinister villain, and it paid homage to the old Blade Runner movie, and I loved it, and I love when they do that. And the music was insane, the colors and the action was perfect. My honorable mention number 2 is Dunkirk. Christopher Nolan is a masterpiece when it comes to film, and I love based on true stories, and especially if they're like set in like war. And one of my favorites is Hacksaw Ridge, and I put this at number 2 for my favorite World War like movies. And Dunkirk is number 2. It had a good cast. The soundtrack was insane, and the action was perfect. It was beautiful. And then my last honorable mention is Baby Driver. The cast was crazy. The action was good. The comedy was hilarious, and the ending and the music was god perfect. And I love it. And I hope that they make a sequel of this in the future one day, because it was great. And here we are. My number 1 film of 2017 is Logan. Before I even saw the trailer, I finished reading the Old Man comic book storyline. And then, a week later, they released the first teaser for this. And I didn't cry, but I got so emotional. Seeing Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart in their last role of these characters was crazy. I think Patrick Stewart lost a lot of pounds to get into the Professor X like character this time in this movie. Hugh Jackman put on a lot of weight and lost a couple pounds for this. He grew like a more thicker beard. I loved it. Seeing this movie for me it's like perfect. There's nothing wrong with it. I cannot nitpick and say there was nothing wrong with it. I wouldn't change anything about it. The music was perfect. The cast was perfect. It was amazing. X-23, Daphne Keane playing Laura was insane, and I hope that she gets to play in her solo film. But the action was crazy. The set pieces were beautiful. It's one of the best Marvel films, not MCU. It's one of the best Marvel films ever. And, like, there's nothing wrong with this film. It's perfect. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Hugh Jackman did a terrific job, as always, playing. This is probably the best portrayal we are ever going to get of Wolverine. If they recast, I don't care. I'm always going to remember seeing Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. I first saw the X-Men film when I was 6 years old, and it came out in 2000. And when I was 6 years old, I saw this, and I watched the animated X-Men film, and I mean the animated TV series of the X-Men, and the animated SpiderMan series. They came out, and they were both set in the same timeline and stuff. And I saw the movie after that, and it paid homage. And ever since then, I was watching Hugh Jackman as Wolverine over and over and over and over. And this is the best X-Men film. This is the best Marvel film they've ever made. This is the best Hugh Jackman movie I've ever seen him play in. And it will go down as a classic. So whenever I'm an adult and my kids or my family goes, what are your top 10 classic films? I'm going to say Logan, SpiderMan Homecoming, and It. And maybe my favorite movie, the Lego Movie. But this is honestly one of my favorite movies of the... This is my favorite movie of the year, and this is one of my favorite movies of all time. Alongside his Lego Movie and SpiderMan Homecoming. This is probably one of my favorite movies ever made. The violence was crazy. You got to see him do things that you thought you would never see in a Logan or X-Men film alone, and it finally felt like a real Wolverine movie. Now, I'm not saying the other movies that he was in playing Wolverine were not like Wolverine moments, but him drinking, him smoking, him bleeding out, him killing people was insane, and I'm glad that I cried over and over again when seeing Professor X die and seeing Logan die. And Marvel is trying to get the rights of the X-Men, the Hulk, and the Fantastic Four into the MCU. And if they do, Hugh Jackman is talking about coming back and playing Logan. But in my honest opinion, I think Wolverine is better off being where he's at. Now, a lot of people are gonna say, now, why would you say that? You want to see him go with tag along with Captain America, Iron Man, and Spider-Man. It could work. Putting him in the MCU could work because Logan was a veteran. He was in the army. He was in the military. But his send-off, where he passed away, where he died, and how it was handled was amazing. And as much as I would love to see him in the MCU, I'd rather see him and Professor X where they are now. Now, if they want to do an X-Men film in the MCU, they can still do it. They can just have Cyclops or Jean Grey be Professor X. They can be the leader. Tons of people besides Wolverine and Professor X have been the leader of the X-Men. But yeah, I'm not going to go into detail about that. But this movie is a 10 out of 10 for me. I love it. Go and watch it. It's amazing. But that is it for my top 10 movies of 2017. But yeah, that is the end of this video of my 2017 movies. Let me know down in the comment section below which you guys like the most of this year. If you guys agree with my list, if you don't, let me know down in the comment section below. If you want to, you can go on my social medias. We can have a conversation there. And I cannot wait for 2018's movies. This has been the comic book movie year for me. And I cannot wait to see next year with Ant-Man and the Wasp and Avengers Infinity War. It's going to be amazing. So yeah, without further ado, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, explore button, like a creeper, love yourselves with amazing comments, guys. If this happens to be the first video, send me to subscribe and join because today for so much more. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye. And remember, always imagine bigger.